like to watch the game with a bite and a beverage. And over the festive period, we've got the ultimate home gadget for you.
The Blade from Beerwulf.com is a premium draft beer machine that you can have in your house.
So no more waiting in lines for a pint. You don't even need to leave your living room.
The good thing about them is that each keg holds 14 pints at a perfectly chilled temperature because there's nothing worse than a warm beer. And the cost of a pint works out with a starting price of just £1.84.
And for Black Friday and Christmas, Beerwulf are offering £75 off all Blade starter packs. That gets you the Blade machine plus a keg to get you started.
Choose from Heineken, Birra Moretti, Brixton and even Cruz Campo.
Which is available for the first time on draft inside your home.
Honestly guys, this machine is stylish, super easy to use and fits perfectly on your countertop.
Check the link in the description to learn more about the Blade and browse through Beerwulf's variety of kegs and other accessories. You'll be enjoying freshly poured, pub quality pints from the comfort of your own home in no time. Please remember to drink responsibly. Hi and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with Lee Judges in the building. No Julian this week. No Julian because he's still over in Portugal. He decided to extend his stay out there, so we've got no Julian. Hey, you know what? It's a good week, you know. No Julian. Great win in the Champions League. First win away from home in, this season. Hey, it's time to celebrate, man. We got the old Beerwulf thing here, right?
Should we have a beer and celebrate then?
Let's have a beer and celebrate, man. You know what I mean? I fancy it. You know what I mean? I think it's time to celebrate. Let's pour it out there. I'll tell you what, this would be a good Christmas present for someone, yeah?
Unbelievable.
Pouring it all right?
Wow.
You get yourself a job. You know what? Don't fill it up for me. So you get your technique better on the second one.
Get my technique.
It's all right on this one, isn't it? But look at that. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Although, look at it, he poured my one badly, but...
Oh, that's ice cold as well.
Yeah.
That's lovely, that.
But, Lee, it's been a good week, mate. As I said, no Julian, right? And a massive win. Julian was with us, of course, over there.
But 4 days, was it, how many, 3 days?
Yeah.
No wonder his girlfriend likes him going away and all that. Like, you know, 3 days of Julian is unreal, isn't it? Like,
I know, man. I know. It's testing.
It's testing. That isn't what I think people don't appreciate.
Yeah.
It is testing.
It is very testing.
It is very testing. You know what I mean? Like by the Wednesday, you know, come on. Like, we was glad to get rid of him, weren't we? Like, you know, well, glad to get home and get away from him.
Like, I'll tell you what weren't testing and what was absolutely magnificent was Arsenal's performance in the Champions League. Remember, going into this game, we were coming up against a Sporting team, unbeaten in their league, unbeaten in the Champions League, second in the Champions League group stages, the team that destroyed Manchester City 4-1. And I can tell you that when you got predictions off of people, you can always tell those games that people are thinking at the back of their mind, we could lose this one, right? Because even your most optimistic of fans, you ask them what for their prediction and they say it's going to be a draw, right? And that's how you can tell. And that's what it was, either most people saying it's going to be a draw or people saying that Arsenal are going to lose this game. And for Arsenal to do what they did to Sporting, that was a statement win. I think the 2 statement wins this week in the Champions League, the 3 results that were all statements in different ways in the Champions League, all involved English teams. You had the Man City one where they were winning 3-0 and, final came back to make it 3-3. You had the Liverpool beating Real Madrid, even though it's a very depleted Real Madrid, but that's very impressive by them. But they were at home. But I think our one was the big one of the week. Going away, remember our away record in the Champions League this season. We haven't won a game. We drew against Atalanta. We lost to Inter. To go away there and dispatch of the informed team in Europe with the informed striker in Viktor Gyokeres and to beat them 5-1, and it could have been more, that was impressively. That was a statement win.
unbelievably impressive. And you're right. If I don't ever predict Arsenal to lose, if I predict them to draw, I think there's a chance that they could lose. You know what I mean? And I didn't fancy us going into that game. I really didn't fancy us going into the game. I thought, looking at Sporting and what they've done and the way they smashed Manchester City, I think I'll take a draw. But what a performance. Yeah. And I think it was a statement win. It's statement to Europe. I also think it's a statement to us fans that, that Arsenal look like they're back. I thought in the first 20-25 minutes, I don't know when we scored, what time it was that we scored, but that first 25 minutes, we was in awe of it. Like, saying, look, we're half playing well. Like the Sporting couldn't get out of our half. We was hunting them down, looked dangerous every time we went forward. And it was a real, I think, a real team performance. Lots of players stood out, but there weren't, one player didn't play well, and I think that the system that Arsenal play allows everybody to contribute in that game. Yeah, in a big way, don't you think that? It was fantastic,
total domination for me. You're right. Like when the game started, the way we were just bopping the ball around, Sporting couldn't get near us.
No,
right. And when we were out of possession, we just pressed them so much, right, that they just kept giving us the ball back.
Yeah.
And they looked stunned. You could see their fans look stunned. Remember, I don't think they lost a game there for 18 months.
Yeah.
Right?
They didn't like it.
The fans were stunned. Hence why they were trying to let off all fireworks and flares.
It was funny, wasn't it? It was funny.
To stop us from watching the game.
We couldn't see it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, because all that smoke in front of us.
Deliberately done. But it was like a really, really impressive performance by Arsenal. And I think followed on from that performance against Nottingham Forest. Remember, that was another dangerous game. Yeah.
Where a good side were made to look very, very ordinary. Remember, we were up against a team that hadn't lost the game away from home in the Premier League, this season, had gone away and beaten Liverpool at Anfield, and we made them look very ordinary. Yeah. We then repeated the same thing, I feel, against Sporting. We made them look really, really poor. And there was some great, like you said, all round to a man, everybody played well. But I want to sort of highlight one player that over the last couple of games, this guy has transformed Arsenal, and that is Martin Ødegaard, the captain. This team is a different team with this player in it. You saw it the other night. You saw it last week, Saturday, against Nottingham Forest. What is it, Lee, that he brings to the table that just transforms this Arsenal team?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I also thought we played quite well against Chelsea as well. In his first game, and I know we didn't get the result, but I think when you look at it, Chelsea are top, in the top four at the moment and playing really, really well. And we went there and got a result, and that was his first game back now. I don't think he was 100% fit then. I don't know, Rob. Whatever they're doing, the training, that's another thing. He's come back fitness-wise fantastic. Hasn't looked rusty, is he? When you say to a player like, oh, it looks like he's been out for a few weeks. His touch is not quite there. His touch is sublime. His work rate is unbelievable. All right, he can't go 90 minutes with that work rate anyway. So when he takes over in the last bit. But I just think he just makes things happen. I think it's better for Saka because I think it benefits Martinelli and also Havertz, because what happens is they're going, right, we're going to put 2 on Saka, then they got Martin Ødegaard, we're going to try and lock him up as well. It's leaving a little bit of space for those 2 goals. Both of them could have scored those 2 goals. So the tap-ins. His work rate, his pressing, the way they win back the ball, a lot of that in the first 25 minutes he starts. And I'm not saying he wins it all, he's the trigger of it. Even for his penalty, if you look back at his penalty, I didn't see it until today. He's the one that wins the ball back in midfield, and then it gets to Havertz. Havertz puts it in. He drives past it. He was fouled outside the box, drives into the box. Definite penalty. Yeah. There was a little bit of talk that maybe it weren't a penalty, but penalty. When you see it, it's a definite penalty. I think his leadership qualities are really good, but he also takes players out of positions that you don't want. I noticed that yesterday. I watched the highlight. I didn't even know there was highlights now of Match of the Day. I didn't even know that. But I watched it, and he comes out of there, and what he does is the player thinks, well, I can't let him go in there on his own. So they go in there, it drags players, and then all of a sudden Timber's got a bit more space, and then they can work it to Saka a lot easier. It's unbelievable, Robbie.
Yeah, he's transformed Arsenal. All those things you just said, I agree with. Like, he is, like you said, first of all, the link up with Saka is unbelievable. Yeah. Between them two, they got that sort of telepathic link up play, right? His passing's brilliant. His pressing, like you said, he's that trigger. Bang, Odegaard's gone. They all go with him. Right, he's the trigger. He knows exactly when to press, and then his ability of passing the ball is absolutely sublime. And then his ability on the ball, he doesn't give the ball away. He's not scared to receive it in certain areas. He goes past players like they're not there, and just creates space for other players. And I don't think it's just the forward players that benefit. I think also it stabilises the midfield. Yeah. So all of a sudden now, the midfield's looking a lot more balance. Marino, when he came on, can get a shot off and stuff like that. He's more balanced in there, right? Because you got Odegaard occupying a lot. You know what I mean? Thomas Partey's able to just sit there a bit and just control that at the back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And control things. And everything about Arsenal have changed and transformed with this guy coming back. He's just, and let's be real, like every successful team has that kind of player, doesn't it? Like Rodri's Man City's one, and they've fallen apart since Rodri's not there.
Yeah.
And I know people will say, "Oh, well, your squad and this and that," but they've not been able to find a way.
No, you can't
to cover Rodri because he's so good.
Yeah,
no, I agree. He's a vital player. And honestly, I'm just hoping it's not too late. You know what I mean? Because obviously Liverpool now 9 points clear, playing well. They beat Real Madrid. They won at the weekend. They've got City at the weekend coming up that we're going to talk about. I'm hoping it's not too late to close the gap, because I do now feel that if we can keep this guy fit, we can go on that run. That Arsenal that played the other night and also against Nottingham Forest is a different Arsenal. They come out in both games ready to attack on the front foot. We've only been complaining. There's a lot of been complaints about, the football's been boring and stuff like that. Those last few games have definitely not been boring football. It's been very attacking.
Those people that have been saying that, should hold their heads in shame. Or they're just being banterish, you know what I mean?
But we were. Listen, let's be real. We weren't scoring in many goals and stuff like that. Now he's come back in. In the 3 games in that Martin Ødegaard's been back in. What's that? 9 goals.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, like we've had other players out as well. We had Saka out at that stage in that stage as well. And when you've got someone that does all what we've just said, to take him out of the team, you're going to have to change a little bit, and be a little bit more. What's the word? I think like a little bit more cautious or whatever. This is, by the way, it's a team that's been unbeaten for how long? We just took it to them, Rob. Just went over there and that first 20 minutes and took it. I expect us to do the same against West Ham, by the way. I expect us to take it to them. And, was you bored on Tuesday?
That was one of the best games I've seen
exactly
from Arsenal in a long time. In Europe, I can't think recently of a better performance by Arsenal.
I was buzzing. I was high on that performance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was that good. People saying, "Oh, look, Lee's drunk" and all that. I wasn't. I was just so excited, enthusiastic for what I've seen. This is the team that I see last season playing,
Yeah, that was Arsenal of last year.
This is a team that you're going away from home, blasting teams away, singing the song, after the effing team scores and things like that. We've done that on more than one occasion last year. All of a sudden. We were saying 2 weeks. Well, this time last week, I wasn't looking forward to the game against Nottingham Forest. I was dreading it. What was the first thing I said as we was walking out Can't wait until Saturday now. Can't wait for West Ham. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, if we play as good as what we did in these last 2 games, we beat West Ham. I know that, So that's a great thing for a fan now to go there with that confidence because of what we got with the players. You know what I mean? And I think that there may be 1 or 2 changes to the team, but as long as that Odegaard one's in there, there's nothing. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to say that when Yeri come on and kept the momentum going as well.
He's doing brilliantly as well. So, his cameos as well.
And, so like you can
growing into the team. He's a confident kid, and every time he comes onto that pitch, he gets more and more confident.
More and more. So you're looking at it and going right. And we was all saying it when we went 4-1 up, take that Odegaard off now because you want to protect him a little bit. Bring on Wayne Yeri, and that's what we can do. We was actually saying that before the game, you know what I mean? We'll take where if we're 2 or 3-0 up, we can take more. It's dreamland when you're thinking about it. And there we was in that position to be able to do that, Yeah. And I just think that I didn't just. Can that be a harsh thing to say? I didn't realise how good Odegaard was until he's been away now.
Because we've seen that before in the past when players are out. It's almost like they're in the team, you forget how good they are. They're missing for a while and then they come back. It's like, I remember all those years ago when Gilberto was out for a while.
That's a great point,
and we all just realised it was like, why are we so poor? Gilberto's missing. He was that guy who gelled it all together in a different way.
That's a great point.
That's the same with Martin Ødegaard. I mean, he's an absolute key player. And I'll tell you one thing. We can talk about the attacking play and how great we were going forward, and we scored a lot of goals in the game. But also, this geezer was missing, right? He was missing, this guy, right? And the reason why Gyokeres was missing is not because he's overnight turned into a poor player. He hasn't. It's because he came up against 2 of the best centre-backs around in European football. Those 2, Saliba and Gabriel, and then when you put Timber into it as well, Calafiori, that back 4 was brilliant the other night, and they completely nullified the threat of Viktor Gyokeres. The hottest striker in European football right now was non-existent in the game. All he could do was try and do pops at range, right? He had a really poor game, basically because he was just denied any time, any space, any room. And you could tell that Saliba and Gabriel in particular were really up for that fight. You could tell that by Gabriel's celebration on the goal. He did the Gyokeres celebration, right? And that showed me that they were up for this, right? And I was saying that we interviewed the sporting fan who's also got a real soft spot for Arsenal as well, Vasco. Big up to Vasco. He was brilliant, by the way. Before the game, and I said to him, as good as Gyokeres is, his big test is going to come tonight because he's up against those 2, Saliba and Gabriel, and he failed it miserably, and they passed it with flying colours. How good were they?
I thought that was outstanding. I actually still think he's a good player.
No, of course he is.
I see things in his game on Tuesday, that they had to be.
Yeah, he is
right on the top of their game.
Although I must say, right, what made me laugh, right, is that obviously there's a lot of Arsenal fans, including me, before I say this, that would love to see a player like that at Arsenal. I think he'd be even better at Arsenal, right? However, the way some people were trying to talk him up, but look, he's still at the crossbar later on, or he hit the bar later on from a little long-range shot, and trying to make excuses for him. And he had a poor game. He was completely marked out of the game and in the pocket of those 2, right? And if you were assessing him off of that, you'd be saying, nah. And I don't think you should have assessed him off that. But the way some fans are like, no, they wouldn't have said that if that was Havertz.
No, the support that he got.
They wouldn't have said that if that was Jesus. Right? They were trying everything to try and talk him up. Remember that guy after the game?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's trying to make all kind of excuses for him, right? To say, nah. And as I said, I'd like to see him at Arsenal. But say it as it is, he was shocking.
It's unbelievable that these fans are the same fans that slag off Havertz and slag off Jesus. I hope they ain't watching this.
Havertz scored in the game.
Yeah. I hope they ain't watching this because they go, God.
Remember before the game, I said, right, we were saying this whilst we was over there. We was doing a preview, right, outside the ground. And we said, listen, Havertz under the huge pressure tonight. Because if Gyokeres goes and bangs in a couple and Havertz has a poor game, right, everyone's going to be saying, right, see, the comparisons are going to be there. As it turned out, Havertz scored and Gyokeres was poor.
Yeah, and
not to say, you know...
All the excuses were there, like, you know what I mean? Oh, done it. But when it's the other way around, Jesus or Havertz, they're critics. Yeah, they can't be having this, can't be having that. Like, listen, I'm with you on it. I'm a massive Havertz fan. I see what he does for footballing terms and all that. Like, he's a much better footballer than Gyokeres. But what he doesn't do, he hasn't got that killer instinct.
Gyokeres is a killer.
I see that, yes.
Yeah,
I see that on Tuesday.
He's got that intent.
He wants to score. I like, even though he was kept quiet, you could tell that Saliba and Gabriel
they work cut out.
Couldn't switch off for 1 second. I think maybe at times you could switch off from the Havertz and Juice because they've not got that killer side of it all. Like, but and he would definitely add to Arsenal. I think,
physical player as well.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah,
but you know, we've gone on 1-5-1 and people are trying to make excuses. Well, there's a lot of fans trying to make more excuses for his performance than trying to big up our performance side.
Yeah, you know? I mean, listen, he had a poor game, and as I said, those two. And then again, Gabriel on set pieces. He's a phenomenon.
I've got to say, like, you know, the delivery is fantastic. Declan Rice's delivery and for that.
He had a great game as well.
He had a very, very good game. But is that unstoppable? Once he's got a run on you like that, I don't think that you're going to have to try and
defend, isn't it?
I think so.
Because once he gets that run, and he's coming in like that.
And it's pinpoint.
He's a big guy. He's a tall guy. Unless you can kind of get...
I don't know how to defend it. I think, like, because if you're a defender and you're standing at him, this is a guy that's running at you, so it's hard to do. If you're running with him, you might actually put it in your own... I think... You know what I mean?
Or the only other thing you can do is try to jump with him, that you sort of put him off, but he's so tall as well, and he's got such a leap.
Up there and he's got
such a leap on him.
Bang.
I mean, it's very difficult to defend it once he gets that run.
Yeah, and if you ever look at it, he got it against Man City. He does it within a. It's not far off
twice
the 6-yard box.
The first one he missed, right? But the second one he didn't.
It's not far off from the 6-yard box, so you know, like, it's pinpoint.
Yeah,
it's pinpoint.
He stands at the edge of the box. I'll keep looking at it and trying to suss it out, right? Because it is such a good move. So he just stands at the edge, sort of the edge of the, not the edge of the area, sort of the edge of the 6-yard area, isn't it?
Yeah, he has about,
in between that and the end.
5 or 6 yard run up to it, doesn't he?
And then he's like that. And then they have a player on him. They always have to have a player on him. Might have to put 2 players.
But he loses them,
right? But he does a little shimmy. Right, where so they don't know whether he's coming this way or that way, and he goes that other. If he goes the other way, you ain't gone with him. Then he's got a free run on goal. And then the other guys, the other Arsenal players, they all start off at the back, and they all run in and create a little diversion in there. So you defending that, you're thinking, shit, who do I get? He's come round, and then he just comes running in, and it's a great move.
I've been looking at this. I'm really interested in this sort of thing, really. Like, he puts his arm up Declan Rice, doesn't he, right?
Yeah.
So he must then, in his head, count at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And at 5, he delivers, but everybody knows that when that arm goes up, they have to do that all in sync. So that shimmy has to come in, and then it has to be delivered. And once, if it's all done perfectly, I think it's very, very hard to
very
stop.
Difficult
Tottenham
to defend
and
against.
Another one that he got against.
I saw something when I was over there. I was looking and I got the translation of it where they was talking in the Portuguese sort of paper about that's what they're worried about, the set pieces of Arsenal. And, you know, Gabriel was brilliant in that game. He's absolutely brilliant. Saliba was brilliant. Timber had a great game. Oh. You know, defensively we were really good. And that was just as I said, a great performance. The team are buzzing. The team are up for it. I'm just hoping, as I said, it ain't come too late and that we can close this gap now, because I was like, when this international break now, we've got to go on a run. The confidence in the last 2 games is back. And we can go on this run, right? We've got games. We have to go on this run. West Ham, away, Last year, 6-0. Now, listen.
It's going to be hard to get better than that.
You ain't going to get better than that. But it's going to be up until Monday. You're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, definite 3 points. They've been awful, West Ham, this season. But I must say, they went and put in a very impressive display against Newcastle.
Yes,
nobody upon nobody.
We were there when none of us predicted it.
Nobody thought that they could go to St James's Park on a Monday night under the lights and get a win. And they went there and they beat them 2-0. And they were impressive. I didn't watch the game, just the highlights. But it was an impressive away performance.
We all said we was going for St. Week, weren't we?
Yeah.
We always said, all of us said, what do you reckon? And all of us, predicted a Newcastle win. Some bigger than others, but we all predicted that Newcastle would win this game. Not one person said a West Ham draw.
Yeah.
No one said West Ham would win this game.
Yeah.
Then when we was in the restaurant, it come through that they were winning 1-0. We said, oh, blind. And at that point there, everybody still said Newcastle would still win this game. Then I think come through that it was 2-0,
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
And they held on to that.
And they held on to it. And by all accounts, were very, very comfortable.
Yeah, worthy of their win.
Credit where credit's due. And then you're thinking, wow, they've hit form and now we're not quite in it all like that. But listen, I'm nothing against Newcastle or any West Ham, no disrespect to them or whatever. If Arsenal play like they did on Tuesday night, we beat anybody.
Yeah, well, you know what? To me, that's why it was important, that result on Tuesday night, because after that result, obviously, if you're a West Ham player and you're a West Ham fan, you're full of confidence now. We can go away to St James's Park, we can do Arsenal. We could, all of a sudden, that's giving them something to just reflect about now. They're like, ooh, they've just gone to Sporting and beaten them 5-1. Sporting that beat City 4-1. Arsenal just gone and put 5 past them. They put 6 past us last year. Odegaard's back, Saka's back, flying. This is going to be a problem again, right? So it's going to be a really, really interesting game. But it's one that we have to win and one that we can win. Now, you said it about changes. Do you think he'll make a lot of changes for this game? Because we do, and that's the thing now. We've got loads of games, right? He made the changes last week, Mikel Arteta. Last week, Saturday, against Forest. We was thinking it's a bit of a gamble. Jesus came in, Trossard started instead of Martinelli. Marino came in instead of Rice. Worked, 1-3-0. Jorginho played as well, and it worked. This one, coming up now, does he do those changes again? We got the game against Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, new manager. They didn't beat Ipswich. They didn't look much better, I have to say, against Ipswich than they've looked in recent times. But he might get them going. Do you make changes with that Man United game in mind, or do you just, let's keep that same team that's won 5-1 the other night? What would you do?
Very interesting. I'd keep it the same. I think he changed it a little bit because it was Saturday, Tuesday. Next it's Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. So there's a little bit more recovery time in those games. As I said, and I state it, that if fit, that back four stays the same. It stayed the same. There's no changes to the back four. That stayed the same. So I expect that to stay the same.
What about midfield? Do you start Declan Rice? We all know about the West Ham.
If he's 100% fit.
Well, you didn't want him to start on.
I didn't want him to start because I want him 100% fit.
Yeah.
But and look at his performance.
He looked 100% fit.
He looked 100% fit. And Thomas Partey. I think Marino's done very well when he's come in the last couple of games, and I thought he done well again. But that's our best midfield in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like people go, he's Rice good in an 8 and all that. No one was saying that towards the back end of last season and that run because that's where he's playing. No one was saying, Rice can't play the 8 when he produces that performance. I think again because Odegaard's there does help, and I think Partey and that can do that. I would keep the same midfield for the next 3 games. I really would, but doing what he done, you know what I mean? taking them off at time, giving them a little bit of rest. But I do think the time in between games is important. Like, you know, that extra couple of days is important, particularly like with these two games coming up. So I do see that as the same.
Up front,
I would keep it the same. But I think maybe Trossard might come in for Martinelli and they might just swap that over for one. I don't think there's a massive drop-off when they do that. You know what I mean? Like, Trossard done well against Forest. I don't think he didn't have a
scored the other night, remember?
Scored the other night, so did Martinelli. So I wouldn't be against keeping having Martinelli really, really fresh for Man United or Trossard if you want to go either or. So it could be Martinelli plays in this one and Trossard for the next. But I think that he'll keep the same team.
Yeah, I would keep the same team. I think if you've just won 5-1, why change it? You know what I mean? And like you said, like, there's time between the game. We played on Tuesday. Yeah. The games, they played on Monday as well. So they ain't even like they've had loads more rest than we've had.
That's a good point.
They played on Monday. Yeah. We played on Tuesday. The game's Saturday, 5:30. So it's not even like 12:30 kickoff or nothing.
Yeah,
no, it's 5:30 kickoff. There's loads of time to recover. There's enough time to get your training sessions in. And I just felt that we looked so sharp up front. We looked so sharp right around that pitch. We looked so balanced. I don't really want to see any changes. I would more do what he did in, you've got those players you can bring off the bench in Marino, if you want to change it up, if you want to bring on Wanieri, if you want to, make certain changes. But I've just felt the team the other night had a lovely balance to it.
Yeah.
And for me, especially going away from home, that's where you really do. I always feel that when you go away from home, that's when you're your very best team, because that's the big test. You can more make changes sometimes at home, I feel. So if anything, you could more say you're bringing a Trossard against United at home than, but away from home, that pace of Martinelli, I don't know, I think I'd rather start with that. And, they fill me with a lot of confidence. It's not just that. It's the last 3 performances from Arsenal
have been.
There was signs in the Chelsea game. You're like, yeah, that's how we normally play. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's how we normally move it. That's how we normally brave on the ball. Cohesion and everything. Signs. Forest game, we were like, yeah, that's us. That's how we play, man. We put them to the sword. Remember, Forest, bit like Sporting, didn't get a kick.
No,
both teams, I think, I may be wrong, but I'm sure both teams didn't have a shot on target.
Well, no, Sporting did. Raya had to make 3 blinding saves.
Oh yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah. Well, they were
too much early, right?
Hey, Beerwulf, right? I told you it's too early, right? Yeah. Sporting. Forest didn't have a shot on target.
No, I don't think Forest did.
And Sporting, all their shots were long range. Just long rangers, yeah?
Very good long rangers, but...
Yeah, we kept them quiet. So, I feel, man, this is the Arsenal that we were watching last season. Started strongest team. These are vital games. Get on a little run. Get a little run going. The complexion changes. And, of course, we know that this weekend, Manchester City go to play Liverpool at Anfield, and that is hugely significant only if we win our game. But we're going to be able to play on Saturday. And by the way, Chelsea are in this as well. They play as well Saturday. I think they got a fairly easy game.
Is it Sunday they play Aston Villa?
Yeah.
It might be Sunday. Right? Sunday they play.
Yeah. And then hopefully get a win and then able to sort of see what's going to happen in that game between City and Liverpool. What do you think is going to happen in that game? I mean, Pep at the moment, by the way, he seems to be losing it. The other, what was with all the
scratching
cuts,
his head and all
scratches
that?
On his head. It weren't just. I'm wondering about that scratch thing, right? He said he's nails and that, right? But did you see his lip was busted as well? And then he also had like. Did he go in and headbutt the change room door or something like that?
He just completely lost the plot. And I never see the game. I see the highlights yesterday. They're 3-0 up, cruising. Then they get 3-1. He's still in it. Then at 3-2, they're still open as open, man. Why would you want to be? I don't understand it. It's not the Manchester City that I've seen for the last 5-6 seasons. Man City fans losing it. That's great to see, blaming everything else. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, or 5, 6 weeks ago, Man City fans, stop moaning about injuries and all that. Cool, no, I've heard them stop about it now, right? And they would have been worried about what happened in that game. And then to go to Liverpool without winning in 6 games, that's incredible. Like you wouldn't, Liverpool. I wouldn't say a fault, because you have to, you earn your luck in football. But if you're going to be playing Man City, if you was to say, right, when do you actually want to play Man City? Right about now is a great time. It's a right time to be taking on Man City.
All right, that's at Liverpool, right? They're getting it. They're getting a lot of.
They're getting it.
Like you said, you make your own luck, and they deserve to be where they are.
100%. I'm not knocking them in any shape or form,
because against Real Madrid, they deserve to win. They were way better, but. That Real Madrid, they were poor, weren't they? They caught them at the right time. They had certain key players missing, and they looked dreadful, right? And Southampton, they're losing the game. The goalkeeper decides to do a madness, just runs out and lets Salah tap it in, and then even then, what was that defender doing with that handball? Right, he only just come on the pitch and he gives a penalty away.
You couldn't argue it. You couldn't even.
No, it was a definite handball, and Liverpool have been a little bit fortunate at the moment.
Even Coop would have had to give that penalty.
They've been a little bit fortunate at the moment, but they are playing well. They have got weapons, and I'm telling you what. Like you said, they've got a perfect time playing Man City.
Perfect.
That City that I'm watching at the moment are very, very poor.
Listen, sometimes in football things go your way. You know what I mean? You play Southampton. It was always tricky at there. We've never found it easy. But you go there when the goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale's not playing. They put in that goalkeeper there. You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what. He's a Liverpool fan. He's got the liver birds tattooed on his backside or something you know what I mean? Then you go right. When is the perfect time to take on Real Madrid? Was this game? It's the perfect time to take on Real Madrid. If you're going to take on Real Madrid, Wednesday night, 28th of October or 27th of November was the date. That was the date. When's the perfect time to take on Man City? On Sunday, the best manager in the world, or allegedly, has lost the plot. You know what I mean? He looked like a character from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know what I mean? This is his. You know what I mean? It's unreal, isn't it? Right? Take them on. Liverpool have got it all their own way. In saying that, you never know with Man City.
You never know with Man City. They are one of those teams, though, Man City, that you think to yourself, at any given time, though, they are going to turn up. You thought that the other night. They were 3-0 up.
Yeah.
They were 3-0 up. That, by the way, that's another reason why you give props to Arsenal, because we were 3-0 up, and they got 1 goal back just after half time,
and they crumbled.
And the way in which Arsenal did, right? What Arsenal did then is they just slowed it down a little bit. The experienced player, I remember seeing Declan Rice just going, chill, calm it. The experienced players just calmed it down. Raya was just a little bit slow with how he's moving it. Right, they just took the sting out of it a bit, and then again got back in the game. Whereas City, there was 15 minutes left. They're 3-0 up. Forget that, it weren't the whole half.
No, 15 minutes
15 minutes left, and they just completely capitulated. It was crazy to watch. 3
players on, they're 3-2 up, and they had 3 on 1.
Yeah.
What was going on?
It was mad.
He was scratching him mad.
It was mad. Well, Pep was scratching his head.
Who do you want to win the game?
Pep was scratching his head. You go like,
Who do you want to win the game? You've got a choice now. You've got.
We can't have Liverpool winning that game. We can't have Liverpool winning that game because the gap.
Perfect result for us is a draw. Yeah.
A draw would be a perfect result.
I think for every Arsenal fan,
and if it's not,
look, listen, that's if we've won on Saturday.
Yeah,
right? This is
the perfect. First of all, we got to win.
We've got to win. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, this game means
win that game. It means nothing. But if we win our game, the perfect result
is a draw.
Right? Or
City win.
A City win, because remember we're only a point beyond.
I can't believe I'm saying that, but
a City win, because somebody's got to start reeling back in those points. And I do feel that Liverpool, if they beat City, which unfortunately I kind of think they are going to, just based off of what I've been watching. But if they beat City, they're going to start really believing that they've got this in the bag because, you know, they're running away with it at the moment. But there's still a long way to go. But if they lose to City, what would that be then? We'd be 6 points behind, wouldn't it?
6 points.
If we won, if we beat West Ham. All of a sudden, 6 points behind could be, that starts to get over, that can be overturned. We've seen it. You know what I mean? You go and lose another game or a team wins another game, now they're 3 points behind. And then they're breathing down your neck now. You go and draw a game, the other team wins again, you know, all of a sudden, a point behind. You know what I mean? That's how quickly it can change.
Yeah, especially with this 3 points.
Especially when it's this early in the league. You know what I mean? Later on, it's hard to overturn, but this early.
Listen, again, if you're in Liverpool, you're thinking to yourself, right, you know, this is a great time to be taking on City. Not only the form they're at home as well. Yeah. So, you know, you're going to nail those performances at home. You know, listen, if it was away, and I would feel... If Liverpool were to go, if it was away and they then went and won that game, you'd think, war. Yeah. War. I think that if Liverpool still win this game, they've still got a lot to do. Yeah. But, you know, but they're on the right path, you know. Yeah. So, listen, I think that if Liverpool win this game, I'm not saying Man City are out of it because you know that they're not, but... I've not seen this from Man City. You know,
defending is shocking. Their midfield is awful at the moment.
And I have to say, whether you like it or not about Liverpool at this moment in time, even yesterday, like rode their luck a little bit. But as I said, you have to. They look solid defensively. They look good in midfield.
No, Liverpool looking good.
They look good.
They look good.
You
can't argue it. I mean, there was a little injury at the end to. Konate, which they'll be worried about because those two, I think that's been the best centre-back pairing in the Premier League this season. Him and Van Dijk, they've been brilliant, right?
He looks assured, didn't he, Van Dijk, all of a sudden? Do you remember he had a couple of, not say iffy seasons, but he weren't. But I watched him yesterday.
Yeah, he's back to his best.
He's back to his best.
He's back to his best.
Did you see that little turn he chinks inside?
Yeah. He's back to his best.
He looked really
he's
good.
He's calm. He's the best centre back.
And I'll tell you what,
still feel in the league. You know what I mean?
Conor Bradley and all. I know he got injured.
He come off injured as well.
What's a player?
Was it a tackle he put in on Mbappe? Yeah, he's a great player. They've got a good squad.
They've
got a very good squad.
Underestimate how good their squad is. You know, for instance, they've you know, they can. The midfield, they can bring on Sabloza. I've done well to say that, and they don't lose nothing from that.
I think the thing is though, it is at the back. Is like if
Gakpo come on,
if Konate is out,
I think they've got a little bit.
Van Dijk
could be like
that's the area where, but up front they've got a lot of weapons, but. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be an interesting game. Only interesting if we win.
No, I'm not even bothered about that game. If Arsenal win on Saturday, then I'm locked in on that game. Yeah. If Arsenal don't win on that game, it's pointless.
Yeah.
Arsenal have to. You know, we've got to. You know, I know Julian says, "Oh, you got to worry about other teams. You've got to take care of your business." Arsenal have got to take care of winning against West Ham, which is not easy. Then they've got to go to Man United and win against Man United. Then they've got to go away to Fulham and win that game. Yeah. And we have got to do that.
No games in this month outside London.
No.
Right?
No, even the cup games.
We haven't got to go far for any of our games. Palace, all of the... I mean, so this is a real chance for Arsenal to really get a run going, get the confidence flowing, finish off this year strongly, then go into next year really optimistic that you can reel Liverpool back in. And
at the moment,
the league ain't over.
Put a bit like if Arsenal do win on Saturday, I'm not saying that it puts doubt on Liverpool. I'm not saying it does, but like they're thinking, in the back of their minds, Arsenal are back. They're not going to slip up here. They're not going to slip up here. Like all of a sudden, like say if they were to lose, you know. Then their next game, I don't know. They've got. I think they've got a difficult few games. Is it Aston Villa? I'm not too sure they've got next game, but they've got a couple of difficult games. Liverpool.
Yeah, they have.
I know they've got. I think it might be the Merseyside derby afterwards.
They've got the Merseyside derby,
which is not easy.
No, never easy.
And I think it's Newcastle away after that. Like if they perform, like they probably can beat Newcastle. So, but if you all of a sudden Arsenal of going away to West Ham winning 3 or 4-0, then they're going to Fulham winning 3 or 4, beat Man United big. All of a sudden, we can't afford a drop off. At the minute, all right. Well, Arsenal going to lose against so and so, or Man City. We can get a head of steam, keep going. So listen, for me, the weekend, I'm Arsenal, Man United, West Ham, and then whatever happens in that game, I'm focused on Man United.
Yeah, absolutely massive weekend, and we're really, really looking forward to it here. Don't forget, we've got all the games covered here on AFTV, so make sure you check it out. Going to be a great watch along, and also, of course, we're building up to the game. Previews from West Ham. Thinking it's featuring Nicky from West Ham Fan TV as well. He'll be able to give a real insight into what's going on at West Ham. They did have that great result against Newcastle, probably saved the manager's job. But it's going to be an interesting game. We won this 6-0 last year. That was the game when we done the watch party in Ghana. That was one of my highlights of the year, because
I was there.
You was at the game, innit? Julian missed that game as well, didn't he?
Julian missed that game. He got stuck in Dubai, didn't he?
Yeah, right. What was really, I remember that game, right? When we had that game, I remember saying to Cecil, Cecil, was this the right game to pick for this watch party away at West Ham? It's a tough fixture, man. And then we blew them away 6-0. I know those fans in Ghana went absolutely ballistic. It was brilliant, man. It's one of the highlights of the year, right? So looking forward to this game this weekend. Arsenal, we won't have Ghana temperatures on Saturday, that's for sure, at the West Ham London Stadium, whatever they call it, right? But looking forward to the game. But get your prediction.
I said it on the Forever Arsenal 3-0 because I had to sort of go that way. I think 2-0 would be. I think that. Listen, it's a difficult game, but I think that what I've seen over the last 2 games, I'm confident. Yeah,
let me go 3-1.
3-1.
I'll go 3-1. But a big Arsenal win. This has been great. Listen, I want to big up the guys from Beerwulf. Don't forget, if you want to purchase one of these, right? The link is in the description, and they are great.
Yeah, I like them.
They are great, and
cheers. Anyway,
yeah, cheers.
Have a few more of these.
Julian, wherever you are, stay there.
Stay there.
Cheers.